As most of you know, the peer review publication process can be quite lengthy and oftentimes frustrating. This journey with Ag Systems started in 2022 with a proposal. Along with my guest editors, Drs. Mofa Islam and Holger Mikey, which Mofa will be representing the panel later, a lot of behind-the-scenes work occurred before the expression of interest phase began. The strategy for the open call had many goals, because not only were we looking for rich and rigorous research, but we also wanted diversity among the authors. As guest editors, our responsibility was not only to present research on inclusive innovation, but to be stewards in the process of engaging underrepresented groups in academic publishing. Barriers to publishing range from a lack of access to digital libraries, the very, very high publication fees for open access, language barriers, social norms and biases, and these are just a few. The list can go on. This special issue strived to feature authors and papers that cover the entire spectrum, with a special attention to early career researchers, female scientists, and regional diversity. We quickly knew an open call was the way to go for this special issue. Yet, how would we communicate this to potential authors? There's a lot of noise out there in the communication world. So how are we going to get the right people to submit expressions of interest? We used a snowball approach and implemented various outreach methods to help spread the announcement. As you can see on this slide, the expression of interest period lasted about 6 weeks, and we used various modes, from social media to including it in the CGIAR all-staff email that has over 8,000 subscribers. It was also on the Ag Systems webpage. We had a list that we curated ourselves of 67 experts in this field, and this went on for 6 weeks to really spread the word so everyone knew about it and about the opportunity. So what happened with the open call? Our communication was successful, and it resulted in 868 expressions of interest. The guest editors then assessed each proposal using a 4-point Likert scale and on 5 statements. And the 5 statements ranged from rigor, originality, and significance. And from there, we invited 27 corresponding authors that represented 16 countries to submit manuscripts for peer review. Of these corresponding authors, 37% were early career and 63% were affiliated with CGIAR in some capacity. From submission to acceptance, the process took about 6 months, probably a little longer, I'm being kind with that. And 17 papers were accepted. The figures show the demographic breakdown, and what was most encouraging, and I hope you will join me with a round of applause for this, was that 70% of the papers had early career corresponding authors. And as a woman, I'm very proud of this. 45% were being female scientists. So please join me in congratulating everyone on that. And this is all on our website too, so you can dig in further. And there's also an editorial that goes into the process and the demographics of the authorship. As guest editors, this was a learning process. We learned a lot about publishing, and we also learned a lot about inclusive innovation in agri-food systems. See, these are the main points that we learned. It's still a contentious topic, and there's concrete applications remain poorly documented and understood. Of the 17 papers highlighted, there were diverse authors, diverse perspectives, and diverse insights. And there were also much diversity in the peer reviewers and what we received from the peer reviewers as well. The papers cover frameworks, practices, and value propositions. And effective practices requires informed implementation in routine operations. However, there also were barriers. Like in all research, there's always barriers and limitations. What we learned was that there were structural barriers, such as language. And was language a main component responsible for some regional lack of diversity among authors? We did our best, but we didn't get all the diversity we wanted regionally. And who is the arbiter of knowledge? Who defines what innovation is and how should it be achieved and why? And whose knowledge is valued? Is someone's knowledge more valuable than others? Lack of validated examples or best practices of inclusive innovation in agricultural and food systems continues. And we had no submissions on system-level innovations. With this, the special issue did contribute to the field. And we hope that this will lead and inspire researchers to take it further, to answer the remaining questions that we had. And we are glad that we did make a small dent in inclusive innovation and exploring these topics. Valuable insights regarding the needs for institutional changes included suggestions for how such changes may be enabled through reflections and multi-stakeholder collaborations. Important guidelines regarding innovative organizational processes for making agriculture and food system innovations more inclusive. And lastly, a key contribution is the enhancement and validation of theoretical frameworks and models, which remains a significant gap in the literature to date. So we have about an hour and 45 minutes left in this session, and this is the agenda. Originally, this was supposed to occur in April, when the special issue still was not fully completed. It was supposed to be during the first Science Week of CGIAR, which was unfortunately postponed. There's 4 presentations from CGIAR affiliates who are published in the special issue, and then that is followed by a felicitated panel by our guest editor, Dr. Mofa Islam. And if for some reason you have to cut out early online and do a conference call, everything is being recorded in video and will be online on our website in January. So it will definitely be living past the walls of today. So because of the limited time, we're going to have each speaker come up and present without formal introductions before each presentation. The first presentation will be from Dr. Pumi Obako, who is the Vice Chair of ISDC. She will present the history of ISDC's work on inclusive innovation that inspired this special issue that has been going on for a few years now. And she will argue that institutional changes and strategies are a cornerstone for inclusive and effective agricultural research for development, and recommend that CGIAR needs to overtly develop such strategies. Following Pumi will be Dr. Mark Schut, who will provide some concrete recommendations for CGIAR, suggesting that by using the innovation portfolio management based on scaling readiness principles could enhance the effectiveness and performance of CGIAR research portfolio. Next up, we have Dr. Chun Sung, who will present the nexus between climate change and farmer-herder conflicts in Africa, suggesting that such conflicts are significantly more fatal in districts with linguistic diversity, especially during droughts and climate change. And lastly, Dr. Erin McGuire will present her paper on 7 equity principles for social transformation to guide transformations in agriculture and food systems. And also, a very unique aspect of this paper is that all 6 authors are early career researchers. That may be a first, I don't know. We'll have to do a literature review and find out. Before I pass the baton to Pumi for our presentation, the first presentation, I want to say a few words of appreciation. Firstly, thank you to Mark for inviting ISDC to hold its Science Forum during Scaling Week. It was an excellent opportunity to have an in-person audience interested in the topic. Many thanks to the 125 authors and more than 50 peer reviewers who contributed to the special issue. And also to Dr. Lawrence Clerks, who also was not able to be here today, who served as the editor of Agricultural Systems. And lastly, to ISDC for spearheading this topic with CGIAR, and to my ISDC Secretariat colleagues who are here, Damagoy and Inez, who are integral in making this forum happen.